Masi senwe sinidu senigoga jo sontan ke goga ne tega lekete jo ayuna na so ko hewne tat agutsina ni tida ayuna tega sanko ken ande suiku chamasiga ido kadega senigo akini wakide masi si yesu senwe sinidu senigoga tabe yaglave senikon tini sira kabunt ende ekuita kai mari suri de kai nili Luitsin suna kati with a yezuna choy dainla, equita kai mare dutsen goa masi, tabi lavits and continue sit account and
Akana Inuit, Kuinaini Kai Kafi, Gringunzi, Shakutin Kat. Please be seated. Mr. Speaker, Shane Thompson, Premier Emma Wilgosh, youth parliamentarians, visitors in the gallery. My name is Gerald Kissoon, and I am the Commissioner of the Northwest Territories. I am honored and privileged to be invited here today to bring you my greetings and to open the 2025 Youth Parliament. Let me congratulate each of you on being selected to take part in this educational outreach program representing your community, school, and family. It is a great honor to be asked to speak in this chamber, which is dedicated to work on behalf of all residents of the Northwest Territories. You are all bright, talented students from across the Northwest Territories. You should all be very proud to be part of this Youth Parliament. You are here, perhaps as future leaders, to learn about consensus government and our Legislative Assembly, its history and its important work for the people of the Northwest Territories. We are very fortunate to have you all here in the Legislative Assembly this week, and we appreciate the effort you have devoted and prepared for your Youth Parliament experience. Public service can be exciting and rewarding, but it can also be demanding and challenging. The tight schedule of activities you participated in this week has probably given you some insight into the pace of work that the MLAs must keep once they are elected to office. It is a challenging life, but making a real difference for the people of our territory is a huge reward in itself. The desire to serve the people well and faithfully should motivate you if you are drawn to politics. I am a proud Northerner, and as I look around the chamber, I feel proud to see such an eager, polished, and accomplished group of youth parliamentarians. Each of you bring a unique and valuable perspective to the issues you will debate in the House today, and I look forward to hearing that debate. I know you have all worked very hard to prepare for this event. You have been researching, writing, and formulating your opinions on issues important to you, your communities, and to all Northerners. I know that you have put a great deal of thought and effort into getting ready for this afternoon. I can feel excitement and anticipation in the chamber. These are very important ingredients to a lively and a productive debate. It is an honor for all of us to take part in the Legislative Assembly's Youth Parliament Educational Outreach Program. And it gives me great pleasure as the Commissioner of the Northwest Territories to declare the 2025 Youth Parliament officially open. Kuinakpak, ha'ai, masi, merci beaucoup. Thank you.
Good afternoon, youth parliamentarians. Welcome to the chamber. I'd like to start off by saying there's very few occasions where I pull off the full suit, but to watch you, exceptional youth from across the territories, stand in this chamber and address the NWT, that is a suit-worthy occupation, without a doubt. Welcome everyone to the 21st sitting of Youth Parliament. As a speaker, it is my honor to sit in this chair to oversee this occasion. It has been an incredible week watching you learn, grow, and to get to know you. I'm happy to say I've worked with and know some of your parents, cousins, uncles, aunts, and grandparents. I know they are very proud of you. There's nothing more inspiring than watching somebody come out of their comfort zone to try something new, and for that I applaud you all. Some things I want to emphasize that you can make a difference in all kinds of ways. The statements that you make here today will not go unnoticed by the members of the Legislative Assembly, and your concerns and issues will be heard. As long as you have the passion to get involved, you can make a difference in your community and beyond. We believe you will be the next generation of change makers in this territories. You are our future, and our future is in good hands. Further, I'd like to thank Elder Sarah Cleary for the opening reflections, Commissioner Kassoon, members and staff for your participation and coordination. It takes a lot of dedication and hard work for a successful event like this to happen. Thank you. Youth parliamentarians, you have made us proud this week. And I know you will make us proud this afternoon as you deliver your statement in this House and debate motions that matter to you. Now, without further ado, let the show begin. Minister statements. Mr. Premier, Madam Premier.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I am working through the Healthcare System Sustainability Unit to define core health and social services, improve efficiency, and ensure the system remains financially and operationally sustainable. As part of this important work, I am working with the Ministers of ECE and Finance to consider the support for students in the healthcare field, including student loans. My plan is to raise the student loan and forgivable amounts for Northwest Territories residents pursuing a doctorate of medicine and any other degree in the medical field. This incentive is aimed to increase the needed medical staff in NWT hospitals by helping NWT medical students with student loans and other money needed to get students through bachelor degrees and medical degrees. With the rising cost of post-secondary education, and especially with doctorate of medicine degrees, it is essential that the government helps incentivizes and helps further medical students. If the government were to proceed with rising school loans for NWT Northwest Territories residents, doing this will help NWT youth who are interested in pursuing becoming a doctor by them having the resources to make their dreams come true. There has been a steep decline of doctors and medical personnel all over Canada, and especially in the Northwest Territories. This statement alone will hopefully encourage the NWT youth to pursue becoming a doctor and returning to the Northwest Territories. If the loan amount were to increase, our problems may become smaller or even non-existent. I personally believe that raising the student loan amount will help solve one major problem facing our beautiful territory. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Madam Premier. Minister statements. Minister of Finance.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As young people, we inherit the challenges of today and the responsibility to create solutions for tomorrow. If we want to tackle issues like high cost of living, we must ask ourselves a tough but necessary question. Do our systems make sense given today's challenges? Take, for example, the cost of electricity in the Northwest Territories. Many residents struggle to afford power, yet we expect a Crown corporation to transition to greener technology while also keeping rates low. The current system forces the Northwest Territories Power Corporation to pass the cost of infrastructure upgrades directly onto customers. This makes it difficult for families and businesses to thrive. But what if we did things differently? As a minister responsible for the Northwest Territories Power Corporation, I feel the need to promote safety, affordability, and easier distribution among the smaller communities. But how can we regulate this while the distribution remains a regulated private sector activity? The government will take responsibility for producing power and lead transition to renewable energy sources without forcing residents to bear the full financial burden. Meanwhile, private companies could compete to efficiently distribute electricity in our communities. This would not only help reduce costs, but also ensure that cleaner energy becomes a reality in our communities. It also creates opportunities for residents to become micro-generators of power, feeding back into the grind and increasing system resiliency and capacity. A larger problem that affects many communities of the Northwest Territories is the imbalance in energy distribution. The solution I propose is generating a system that will be able to produce enough energy not only for communities that are present today, but for what will be there in the years to come. So what would this look like? In collaboration with Indigenous governments, we would build a mass generator for each energy district that will provide reliable, affordable, and environmentally sustainable power to all NWT communities. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Minister of Finance. Minister statements. Minister for Municipal and Community Affairs.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today as the Minister of Municipal and Community Affairs and to share some important developments and priorities reflecting the strength, resilience, and needs of our community. My constituency is Hay River South, and like many communities across the Northwest Territories, is navigating a period of both challenges and opportunities. Over the past year, our residents have demonstrated incredible perseverance, whether in responding to impacts of extreme weather events, maintaining essential services, or supporting one another through economic uncertainty. I want to begin by recognizing the work of our frontline workers, healthcare professionals, educators, and municipal staff who continue to go above and beyond in services to our town. Their dedication is the foundation of our community's strength. Mr. Speaker, infrastructure renewal in these communities remain a top priority for the government. I continue to advocate for meaningful investments in our roads, housing, and emergency services. As we plan for the future, it's essential that we do not only repair what has been damaged, but also build with resilience, sustainability, and changing climate in mind. On the issue of housing, we know families are struggling to find a safe and affordable homes. We are working with our partners to accelerate efforts to address housing shortages in communities and support home repair programs that help residents stay in our communities. Economic diversification is also key. From supporting local entrepreneurs and enhancing training opportunities for our youth and tradespeople, we must ensure that the Northwest Territories has a strong and growing economy that reflects our people's talents and ambitions. Finally, I want to acknowledge the concerns I've heard from multiple residents about mental health services. Across, access to timely and culturally appropriate care must be improved. I commit to continuing the conversation with my colleague, the Minister of Health and Social Services, and our partners to close these gaps. Mr. Speaker, the Northwest Territories is full of heart and potential. I am proud to serve the residents of the Northwest Territories in my role as Minister of MACA, and I remain committed to bringing their voices, concerns, and hopes to my work each and every day. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Minister of Municipal and Community Affairs. Minister statements. Minister for Housing. Minister responsible for housing and NWT.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm here to talk about government-funded renovations and housing for the reserves. The government needs to fully pay for house renovations, not loans or leases. You'll need to be able to qualify for these house renovations. And some people will not be eligible to qualify. Like if you have too much space in your house and there's a hole in your wall. But people who have families and not enough space for all the people who live in the house will be eligible to get the funding. The houses on reserves are small, but if needed, they can add extra room, like adding on to kitchens and bedrooms and meeting rooms. When houses age, they get moldy due to the moisture that builds up, and if you don't get rid of the mold, they'll get sick. But it costs money to renovate the houses and get rid of all the mold. If you want these renovations, it'll cost a lot of money coming from your wallet. You need to supply yourself with the supplies that are needed in order to do all the renovations and repairs. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Minister responsible for Housing and NWT. Minister statements. Minister of ECC.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name is Yuriba Mir. Today I stand here not just as a minister, but as a student myself and a voice for our generation. The problem I intend to create a solution for is drug usage among the youth, specifically targeting vaping and smoking. This is not just a bad habit a small number of kids deal with, but it is a rising issue for the youth in the Northwest Territories. If I don't bring change with some possible solutions and more awareness to this issue, I'm afraid the consequences will greatly affect their futures. About 14% of females and 17% of males in the Northwest Territories have vaped, and almost 30% of vapers are kids aged 15 to 24, and this was from a study in 2018, and the rate is rising immensely up until now. As of 2018, 16% of people in the Northwest Territories have tried vaping, and that would be much more by now. Tobacco itself's vaping rate is higher than the average, and that too in 2018, so imagine how it would be now. There are a few major reasons concerning why the youth turns to these type of drugs, most of them being peer pressure, curiosity, and a coping mechanism that they lean into when facing depression, trauma, stress, anxiety, etc. These drug habits can lead to critical health problems like lung disease, heart issues, and even cancer. Many kids start vaping or smoking because they see their friends doing it or because they think it will help them fit in. But the truth is these habits can ruin lives. Not only is drug usage ruining the bodies that humans need to live, it is also destroying our environment by toxifying the world around us. As a minister in charge of justice, I have created a variety of options that could be used as a potential solution to this. The options come in different forms, so they can tailor to one's needs without putting pressure onto just one solution that everybody is needed to follow, causing even more unnecessary stress. I myself, along with the collaboration of ministers in charge of education, culture, and employment and health, have created a variety of solutions that hopefully will bring change to our youth. Over the past year, we engaged directly with youth across the territory to find out how we can fix this problem, and now have created a plan from the feedback and guidance we had received. We will be launching 4 programs. Each of these programs was specifically identified by the youth as something that would help them with this issue. We are also providing additional funds to the schools to help this get done. So Starting off with number one, education. Schools should provide age-appropriate education on the dangers of vaping, smoking, and drugs use. They should be taught in all middle school and high schools. They should be provided with real-life examples and interactive activities for them to really realize the dangers of drug use. If they know how harmful these habits are and what they're getting themselves into, they'll take a second guess before going down that road. Number two, support groups. Some kids begin to indulge in drug usage because of mental challenges that they are enduring, such as depression, stress, post-traumatic stress disorder, and anxiety. I will create accessible support groups where students can talk about their problems and get help for their mental health. Most students are better with opening up to peers, which is why these support groups will have student mentors that are guided by counselors to help provide a safe space to heal. Number three, positive activities. In collaboration with the municipal and community affairs, I will add more fun and healthy activities to keep youth busy. Sports, music, art, and other hobbies can help us stay away from drugs. Options for children's activities in schools and at home will be provided. A broader variety of elective classes, clubs, and programs that can reflect on different interests for students to give students motivation to go to school and learn exciting things, helping them refrain from sinking into drug usage as a cure to their boredom. Access to help. I will provide easy access to help in schools and communities to help those who are already addicted. This can include counseling, hotlines, and medical support. It's important to let kids know that it's okay to ask for help and that they are not alone. The kids will be provided with a safe and trusted environment to be able to open up. These, while wellness spaces should make sure to be non-judgmental and very supportive, keeping in mind punishment will only make it worse. In conclusion, tackling drug addiction among youth requires a team effort. We need to educate ourselves, support each other, and create a healthy environment where we can grow and thrive. Together, we can create a future where the youth can stay harmful, habit-free. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Minister of Justice and Environment and Climate Change. Minister statements. Minister of Education, Culture and Employment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As Minister of Education, Culture and Employment, I'd like to acknowledge the change in the new BC curriculum from the former Alberta curriculum. All grades from junior kindergarten to grade 12 has changed to the BC curriculum. I strongly believe that this change in curriculum has been a good shift since it had begun in 2023. As a student myself, I have found it helpful since the curriculum had the shift. I have never seen my grades so high in the time in school. I'm sure others as well. BC is one of the top performances in education among all the provinces according to the Conference Board of Canada. BC curriculum is modernized to meet the roads of students in the world that's always changing. It incorporates financial literacy skills, begins providing career educations in the early grades, and teaches students the ability to design, make, acquire, and apply skills and technologies that are important to world today and key for the future. The BC curriculum is one of the first in Canada to focus on competency-driven learning that builds on students' natural curiosity, creativity. It's based on research, best practice in education, and most educators agree this is essential for 21st century learning. Indigenous worldviews, knowledge, and perspectives are reflected in the BC curricula and mandatory learning for all students. Research shows that this new curriculum design and structures has a better academic results for students. BC has confirmed that their graduates are competitive at the post-secondary level in university and college across the country and internationally. Students are graded on a proficiency scale from emerging to developing to proficient to extending, meaning that the student has a sophisticated understanding of the concept. Since the Northwest Territories adopted the BC curriculum, I have achieved an extending grade in math. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Minister, Education, Culture and Employment. Minister statements. Minister for Health and Social Services.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As Minister of Health and Social Services, I would like to talk about smoking and tobacco and the dangers of it. And this is how I'm at least going to limit how much people smoke. Smoking is a leading cause in lung cancer due to the chemicals in tobacco that change the cells in lungs. Also, not to mention that tobacco can cause other cancers and diseases
and decreases a person's health overall. And some examples of diseases and other cancers: kidney cancer, mouth cancer, throat cancer, liver cancer. Also, not to mention that it can cause strokes and heart attacks. I'm going to fix this problem by banning smoking for those who were born in 2008 and every year going after that. And this means even if someone is born in 2008 becomes old enough to buy a cigarette, they will not be able to. I do not want to ban smoking outright, as also I would like to support those who smoke to stop smoking and provide them with the tools and programs to help them quit. Also, I would like to bring awareness to minors vaping and smoking, and I have seen this myself in school. I have seen 2 people smoking outside and 2 people were vaping in the bathroom. 2 people vaping or more. To solve this, I will be working with the Minister of Education, Culture, and Employment to ensure that hall passes are used. Only one person in a class can be outside of class when using a hall pass. Also, I advise teachers to check on them if they're not back in times, because I see no reason for anyone to be either getting a drink or using the bathroom for more than 10 minutes. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Minister of Health and Social Services. Minister statements. Member statements. Member from Nahende.
Mr. Speaker, I'm speaking to you today about the inequalities I've seen in regards to facilities, access to training, and insufficient space in our smaller communities compared to bigger centres like Yellowknife, Hay River, Inuvik, and Fort Smith. Today I'm speaking for youth athletes. I've done a variety of sports that are available throughout different seasons in Fort Simpson, including speed skating, soccer, snowboarding, and basketball. I've witnessed and experienced different issues associated with sports in the northern communities firsthand. After participating and competing in sport while growing up in small communities, I've grown up understanding that the larger towns will always have advantages that lead to more success. Mr. Speaker, I have coached children from ages 3 to 10 in speed skating. I love watching them grow in the sport and have fun with it, although I want more for them. They already have accomplished so much. I want them to continue making achievements. They deserve to continue to feel proud and have pride in their sports. All kids across the Northwest Territories deserve that. I feel that the territorial sports organizations, school districts, and school boards must engage in meaningful discussions on how to approach the idea of giving equal access along with attention to sport in smaller communities. This includes addressing barriers such as limited access to proper facilities, inadequate funding, insufficient training for community coaches, and beneficial camps for youth athletes. I have observed and experienced athletes having short seasons in training due to weather conditions affecting their facilities. I've seen many youth in the North use sports as a constructive outlet. It provides them an activity and a place to go and cope to get away from their personal challenges. I've seen my peers grow together and as individuals. I want to advocate for all the youth across the North that would like to be involved in sport. I will continue to bring attention to these ongoing issues. I will encourage others to understand the unique circumstances small communities deal with. Mr. Speaker, I respectfully urge the government of the Northwest Territories to look at the way smaller community sport is funded and supported. I feel that the smaller community athletes can have a good chance at making teams more often if they are given the attention they deserve. This is done by recognizing the community athletes as strong and equal to the larger centered athletes, along with consistent learning and growing opportunities and frequent access to the facilities that do exist through training trips. Ultimately, these youth deserve the resources to thrive. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, member from Nahende. Member statements. Member from Tunadé-Willady.
Mr. Speaker, I'm here to bring forward the recent drug problem that has been going on in the Northwest Territories as of late. 2 months ago, there was the largest drug and cash seizure in the history of the Northwest Territories, removing nearly 5 kilograms of cocaine and $360,000 in cash. These drug dealers are profiting off the addictions in our community, and we need to do something about it. First, these illicit drugs have done incredible damage to communities all over the Northwest Territories, destroying lives, families, and even in extreme cases have caused lives to be taken. Even now, there are still drugs being imported into the communities. Not only that, but our youth are being exposed to such things through parents abusing drugs or through friends. Some of our youth are even trafficking these drugs. Looking at the rate of people being charged with drug offenses has nearly doubled since 2020, so it shows how much of a problem it is right now. I feel like there should be more crackdowns and searches so our community won't be taken advantage of. This is a very important topic for me, and I feel like it should be and I feel like it should continue to be talked about, not only here but everywhere, especially in the smaller communities where people can't get help as easily as others. We need to do more to protect our communities, and especially our most vulnerable. That is all. Masi, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, member from Trinidad-Willity. Member statements. Member from the Decho.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today, I would like to speak to the rising cost of living in the Northwest Territories. Mr. Speaker, I'm worried that the rapidly increasing cost of living will drive people and businesses away from the territory. Constituents in my riding have noticed the prices of food products increasing and slowly becoming unaffordable. Some examples are olive oil, which increased over 100%, milk, which increased 10%, fruit and vegetables increased 15 to 20%, and cheese and butter have increased 30 to 40%. With rising food prices and home heating costs, many residents will have difficulties paying their rent. On average, constituents in Yellowknife have said that rent for a one-bedroom unit can cost approximately $2,000 per month, whereas a multi-bedroom unit can cost upwards of $3,500 to $4,000 per month. Housing can be even more of a challenge in smaller communities in my riding. Mr. Speaker, meeting these high costs would exceed the incomes of many residents across the territory. The NWT Bureau of Statistics notes that for the living cost differentials, Yellowknife is among the lowest in the NWT, meaning these high costs only increase as you get out to the other communities across the territory. The cost of home and vehicle insurance has increased as well. A projected 10 to 15% increase to electricity and propane prices could make life unaffordable. Mr. Speaker, the amount of household wages is still comparatively low. Residents have to go out of their way to see what is on sale and have to look for discounted prices before making a purchase. Inflation has become an issue for everyone in Canada. However, I think it is crucial to deal with this in the NWT especially. According to the Department of Finance's 2025-2026 Economic Review, the government's plan to transition away from, quote, large resource extraction projects will reduce the size of the Northwest Territories economy, quote. These problems are going to become harder to solve later on. Mr. Speaker, I find it difficult to imagine being unable to afford to put food on the table, but many residents may have these circumstances. I am determined to help find a solution. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, member from the Decho. Member statements. Member from the Sawtooth.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today I would like to discuss how our community in Cove Lake urgently needs a new school. Mr. Speaker, the current school no longer meets our students' needs. All 14 high school students use a single classroom. Cove Lake Public School is actually an old-fashioned one-room school. Mr. Speaker, the log building has been repurposed and service multiple grades, and there is no gym. Students wishing to use a gym for recreation or sporting events have to walk at least 5 minutes to the nearby community center. Everyone in the community uses the community center. Students have no space of their own. Mr. Speaker, having individual classrooms for each grade and a gym attached to the school would greatly improve students' life, and the government needs to take action to make this happen sooner rather than later, as the current school is old and in need of repairs. The media reported last year that the GNWT would be spending $3.9 million on new portable classrooms for the school in Cove Lake. But some community members say that's a band-aid solution, and what they actually need is a new school. Masi, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, member from the Sawtooth. Member statements. Member from Yellowknife Centre.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. I have been living in Canada for 2 years now, more specifically in the Northwest Territories, Yellowknife. And I would like to raise the issue of housing that I have observed. What stands out the most to me are the high housing costs and the shortage of affordable housing here in Yellowknife. When I first came here, I didn't face any difficulty finding a house, but I know a lot of fellow newcomers who face that issue. So as a resident of the Northwest Territories, I would first like to express my concern about the high housing costs in Yellowknife. Monsieur le Président, the cost of housing here is due to several factors. D'abord, construction costs can be higher because of the logistical challenges involved in delivering building materials to remote areas, as is the case here in the Northwest Territories. As we can see, the construction of affordable housing is more difficult, leading to unaffordable housing prices for many residents. Furthermore, Mr. Speaker, the shortage of affordable housing is frequent, meaning that many people have to fight for this fundamental right. Social and affordable housing are often overcrowded or insufficient compared to the population, which worsens the situation. De plus, Monsieur le Président, I would like to add that, as a citizen, beyond the undeniable observations that I have made about the situation, I have also thought about solutions, such as supporting self-building. Mr. President, encouraging self-building programs can allow residents to participate in the construction and development of their own homes. It is worth noting because this option cannot only reduce the construction cost, that is, no labor cost to pay, but also create a sense of investment in the community. That being said, I would like to encourage Housing NWT to take into consideration my proposal as one of the ways to resolve this issue. Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you, member from Yellowknife Center. Member statements. Member from Range Lake.
Merci, Majita. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good afternoon, Maskati. I raise forward today to speak about the project I hold very close to my heart, a youth-driven collective known as Soul Society. I founded this club at Ecole St. Patrick High School in November after presenting the idea to my principal with a friend. The idea of Soul Society arose from noticing a lack of recognition and understanding of Black culture at my school. Conversations often revolved around topics like slavery, but there was little attention given to the broader Black experience. I saw that Black students, including myself, lacked a sense of representation and community. I created Soul Society with a simple goal: to provide an inclusive space where Black youth can feel more connected. My broader vision for the club is to offer a safe, empowering space where we can share, celebrate, and uplift each other, while also building connections with other communities, teaching, learning, and growing together. It became clear to me that something was missing when I wondered why there wasn't a Black representative in my school student council, especially considering the presence of an Indigenous representative. After discussing the idea with my friends, one of my teachers overheard and encouraged me to take action. This encouragement helped me find the courage to bring the idea to life. After reflecting more on the concept, I decided to move forward. With support from my teachers, friends, and family, I scheduled a meeting with my principal to discuss the possibility of creating the club. We talked about what Soul Society would look like and the kind of space I envisioned. After a productive conversation, we all agreed that this was something our school needed. I presented the idea to my peers, and the response was overwhelming, with a great turnout of first meetings. My hope for Soul Society is to expand beyond our school and include students from Sir John Franklin. I plan to organize events that involve students from Sir John and younger schools to build the future of Soul Society. Ultimately, I envision the club expanding across other communities in the Northwest Territories, empowering Black youth and creating a movement that has a lasting impact. Soul Society is not just a club, it's a movement. It exists to ensure that Black students feel seen, heard, and celebrated. Additionally, it provides a platform for those who may feel out of place when they choose to express themselves differently, whether that means embracing their culture, wearing traditional clothes, speaking with an accent, or simply being their authentic selves without fear of judgment. From the very beginning, my goal with Soul Society has been to create a space based on growth, self-expression, and acceptance. It is a space where judgment has no place, and everyone is encouraged to evolve and thrive. Looking ahead, I plan to organize events that showcase the diverse talents and stories of Black students, whether it's celebrating small businesses, highlighting dancers, singers, bands, or professionals. I hope to collaborate with other people of color to host a Multicultural Appreciation Night and similar events, because I understand the importance of solidarity and unity. There's a need for more opportunities to celebrate and share the richness of different cultures. Ultimately, my goal is to empower youth, help them realize that they can be whoever and whatever they aspire to be. I was initially inspired to bring this idea forward because of two organizations in Yellowknife, BAC North
also commonly known as Back Up North, and the Diversity Group. Participating in these groups allowed me to witness the connections and sense of comfort that emerged when people came together in solidarity. It was inspiring to see how peace and understanding could be fostered in such spaces. While Soul Society is focused on uplifting Black youth, it is open to everyone. Regardless of your skin tone or background, I encourage you to get involved. By working together, we can create a more inclusive, supportive, and empowering environment for all. Mashita, Masicho, mercy, and thank you for listening, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, member from Range Lake. Member statements. Member from Inuvik Boot Lake.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm here to address the high cost of living in our communities. Everywhere we look, people are feeling the strain of rising costs and can't keep up with them. Life is getting more expensive and wages aren't keeping up. Housing costs in Canada have gone up nearly 10% in the last year, creating difficulty for the younger generation to buy a home. Hardworking people are being pushed to the limit, which is unacceptable. Mr. Speaker, what makes the situation even worse is that the new U.S. tariffs are further increasing the cost of essential goods, which directly impacts the remote northern communities, where costs are already extremely high. People in these areas are being forced to make impossible choices, deciding whether to put a roof over their heads or to put food on the table. Mr. Speaker, with limited competition, these big corporations, like the Northern Store, can charge whatever they want for groceries. The transportation costs also drive up the prices, with more remote communities paying high prices for cheap quality. There isn't a single person in the North who isn't feeling the effects of high housing costs and low minimum wage. It's not a reality anyone wants to live in, and we have to do something about it. What I'm asking for today is for immediate relief for families in the North facing these challenges, including affordability measures and targeted financial support, like increasing the Northern Living Allowance for GNWT employees and working with the federal government to increase Northern resident deductions for people in the North. Mr. Speaker, this could also include increasing the minimum wage in the Northwest Territories. The cost of living is more than just numbers. It's about people, families, and their ability to build a future. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, member from New Boot Lake. Member statement. Member from Wolfley.
Merci, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I come here today to discuss an issue within my community and all of the NWT. My constituents and many other communities in our territory are concerned about the critical shortage of resources and availability in our healthcare system. There is a shortage of physicians and nurses in our community, and this is impacting the health of our citizens. When residents are in need of healthcare, they have to travel outside of the NWT to get the help they need. These flights are being funded by the GNWT, and it is costing the territory money we should be using to hire new doctors and nurses inside of the NWT. From 2021 to 2022, the NWT spent over $44.4 million on scheduled and emergency medical travel. And in 2022 to 2023, this cost has increased to over $56.1 million. Instead of using this money for travel, the government needs to hire healthcare workers by offering better wages, considering bonuses, and improve working conditions. I think it is best that we improve the benefits we offer, like insurance and dental care. People who are new citizens to the NWT have troubles finding housing, and that drives new healthcare workers away from working in this territory. To fix this issue, I propose that we provide newcomers that are here to work in the field of healthcare temporary housing for them and their families. I believe that this issue needs to be addressed immediately. This issue is affecting the NWT as a whole, and it is a tragedy that this is continuing to be an issue for the past 4 years. It is time we take action on this issue and resolve it as soon as possible. Merci, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, member from Wolfley. Member statements. Member from Frame Lake.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today to bring forward a major issue facing my constituency, the extremely polluted state of Frame Lake. I do not think that nearly enough is being done to resolve this issue, which is incredibly important for the following reasons. Firstly, Frame Lake is an essential part of our territory, and specifically my constituency and others in Yellowknife. It is directly in the middle of the city, bordered on one side by downtown and City Hall, and on the other side by the more industrial Old Airport Road and the wild area surrounding Jackfish Lake. In fact, the Legislative Assembly building that we are in right now sits on its shore. This central location means that it has the ability to bring the whole city together around a beautiful body of water surrounded by green spaces and walking trails. By improving the collective appeal of the city, it also improves the appeal of the Northwest Territories, making it an important part of natural infrastructure for the whole territory. However, as of right now, the amazing nature of the lake is being severely hampered by its pollution. The lake currently has between 100 and 499 parts per billion arsenic, putting it in the second most dangerous category on GNWT maps. In addition, the lake is constantly filled with garbage. A short walk along the Frame Lake Trail instantly reveals an incredible amount of dangerous garbage and litter like cigarette butts and even needles. Recently, an aerating device has been installed by Rio Tinto in the middle of the lake to hopefully create a sustainable environment for fish by the summer of 2025. This is a very positive step. However, there's so much more that we need to do to return the lake to being a thriving natural centerpiece for our territory. For example, a constant flow of water out of the lake could be explored by the Department of Environment and Climate Change in partnership with the City of Yellowknife. Mr. Speaker, I strongly encourage the Minister of Environment and Climate Change, seated across the room, to pursue this important issue and attempt to find a solution in partnership with the city to restore this stunning natural feature. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, member from Frame Lake. Member statements. Member from Great Slave.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to speak about the importance of preserving Tin Can Hill in Yellowknife by designating it as a territorial park and area for scientific study. Mr. Speaker, Tin Can Hill is currently under the jurisdiction of the City of Yellowknife, and City Council has designated it as a parks and recreation area in its zoning bylaw. In 2022, the government of the Northwest Territories, in partnership with Aurora College, proposed the development of a new Polytechnic University campus on a portion of Tin Can Hill. This proposal led to the signing of a Memorandum of Understanding between the GNWT and the City of Yellowknife, indicating the city's willingness to consider transferring land for the campus development. However, Yellowknife City Council is considering ending an agreement to reserve land in the city's Tin Can Hill area for Aurora College's planned Polytechnic University campus. Mr. Speaker, as of right now, the City of Yellowknife retains jurisdiction over Tin Can Hill. In March of this year, Yellowknife's mayor and city manager said there currently is no plan to develop any part of this area. Mr. Speaker, the authority to establish a territorial park falls under the jurisdiction of the Minister of Environment and Climate Change, as outlined in the Protected Areas Act. I call on this government to modify their MOU with the city, complete the transfer of land, and establish the Tin Can Hill Territorial Park. Mr. Speaker, it's crucial that we protect the network of trails and geological features of Tin Can Hill for future generations. Designating this area as a territorial park would ensure long-term environmental stewardship while respecting Indigenous history and providing opportunities for education and sustainable tourism. Mr. Speaker, residents have spoken clearly they want Tin Can Hill preserved. By creating a territorial park, we not only protect the land, but we invest in our community. I urge the Assembly and the Department of ECC to work collaboratively with the City of Yellowknife and Indigenous governments to make this vision a reality. Merci beaucoup, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you, member from Great Slave. Member statements. Member from the Mackenzie Delta.
Merci trop, Mr. Speaker. I rise today to bring forward the issue of drugs and alcohol in the Sawtoo region. The 5 communities of the Sawtoo are strongly connected, and the drugs and alcohol affect all of our youth with the way we grow up. There can be lifelong challenges that result from youth being raised in homes where drugs and alcohol are prevalent. For example, youth who live in homes where drugs and alcohol use is common can struggle to get the education they need, proper meals and clothing. These conditions can also lead to youth having trauma and mental health problems. Without education opportunities for these youth can be limited because they lack proper support. In many cases, family members like aunts, uncles, and parents have to care for neglected children who can't see their parents. An additional problem rising in the Sato region is in the increase in dealers selling drugs and how many drug and alcohol busts are taking place. For example, it got so bad in Delaunay they had to bring a search dog in for either drugs or alcohol. At the hand games event, each community in the Sato has been impacted, and even our northern neighbor Inuvik had a big drug bust in summer 2024. The increase in addiction has a big impact, causing more funerals than weddings. And lastly, leading to kids not graduating. I also hope we could get help for our people and youth. Overall, I would like the opportunity to address the issue of drugs and alcohol in front of the Legislative Assembly. Merci trop for your time, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Member from Mackenzie Delta. Member statements. Member from Yellowknife North.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to address racism and discrimination in our education system in the Northwest Territories. This is not a new matter. Discrimination in Canada has been around since before Confederation. Racism is a learned set of behaviors and it needs to stop. It isn't something people are born with, but is increasing in our schools. You don't have to be Black, Indigenous, or a person of color to see this. By not talking about it, racial discrimination can become more normalized. Mr. Speaker, I'm afraid of what racism will do to my peers, and it is my responsibility to build a better educational community. Mr. Speaker, according to NWT Bureau of Statistics, as of July 1st, 2024, more than 25% of NWT residents between the ages of 5 and 24. Many of these young people are Indigenous. For centuries, the Indigenous peoples of Canada have been facing racial discrimination. One example acknowledged by the GNWT is the residential school system where students were, quote, cut off from their language, culture, and way of life, unquote. It is important that our education system ensures that students learn about this history and develop an understanding of cultural diversity. This is one way we can limit the spread of discrimination. The Department of Education, Culture, and Employment acknowledges on its website that, quote, diversity within the Northwest Territories is a source of its strength. The NWT is stronger because it is made up of many different peoples, cultures, traditions, and ideas, unquote. But Mr. Speaker, the government must still take steps to overcome challenges. Teaching a more diverse range of curriculum means students will learn about different groups and their cultures and histories. Counseling specialists at school could help students that have been affected by discrimination and who have family who attended residential schools. It is crucial that discussions are conducted with care. If lack of education is what is causing racism in our schools, then we can avoid it by educating students about diversity. The youth are our future. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, member from Yellowknife North. Member statements. Member statements. Recognition of visitors in the gallery. Member from Hay River South.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I wanted to take a moment to express how incredibly grateful I am for my parents and how they've supported me through this opportunity, especially my mom, Jessica Smith. Thank you for always pushing me to reach my full potential and for constantly believing in me even when I made the wrong decisions. Your support for my life decisions means the world. I wouldn't be where I am today in life without you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, member from Yellowknife, Hay River South. Recognition of visitors in the gallery. Member from Hay River North.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to take this moment to thank my mom, Cindy Walton, and my grandma, Linda Walton, for always supporting me through all my adventures and leading me the direction I need to go. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
From Hay River North. Recognition of visitors in the gallery. Member from Great Slave.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to recognize my family in the audience. They have been an excellent help in helping me achieve this goal. I would also like to thank my teachers especially Ms. Griffin, who helped me finalize my member statement. Thank you.
Thank you, member from Great Slave. Recognition of visitors in the gallery. Member from Cam Lake.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to recognize my family who's watching in the gallery. My mom, my 2 aunties, and my 2 cousins. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Member from Cam Lake. Recognition of visitors in gallery. Member from Yellowknife Center.
In achieving my goals, and I would also like to thank my teachers, those who helped me finalize my member statement and helped me send it here. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Member from, sorry, where was I? Yeah, no, where was I just from? Huh? Yellowknife Center? Oh, yes, sorry. Recognition, sorry, Yellowknife Center. Recognition of visitors in gallery. Member from Tabacha.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to thank my mom and my dad for supporting me and helping me do this and helping me with my member statement. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Member from Tabacha. Member from Mofi. Recognition of visitors gallery. Member from Mofi.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to recognize my mom and my dad for not just encouraging me to do this, but encouraging me to do other things I want to do in life. Must-see.
Thank you, member from Mofi. Recognition of visitors in the gallery. Member from Tuniday-Willity.
Must-see, Mr. Speaker. I would like to thank and recognize my parents, my grandma, and my teacher for supporting me. That's all. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Recognition of visitors gallery. Member from Nahende.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just want to thank my mom and dad, Diane Cobb and Bill Bennett, for pushing me to take this opportunity, and my teacher, Jackie Thompson, for helping me with my member statement. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, member from Nahende. Recognition of visitors in gallery. Recognition visitors in the gallery. Member from Yellowknife North.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to thank my mom and my dad for supporting me throughout the journey to getting to Youth Parliament, as well as my siblings and my friends. I'd also like to thank my teachers at school, and I'd also like to shout out Joe Levine. Happy birthday. Thank you for helping us out this week. And yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, member from Yellowknife North. Recognition of visitors in gallery. Member from the Date Show.
Mr. Speaker, I would like to say thank you to my mom, my dad, and my sister, my friends and teachers that encouraged me to do this and helping me with my member statement. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Member from the Date Show. Recognition of visitors in the gallery. Member from Mackenzie Delta.
I would like, Mr. Speaker, I would like to thank my mom, my grandma, my grandpa, for supporting me for everything I have done and this opportunity. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, member from Mackenzie Delta. Recognition of visitors in the gallery. Recognition visitors in the gallery. For all those people that are here, thank you very much for allowing these young people to be here today. They're representing the people of the Northwest Territories. And if the member statements are any indication, our future is very strong. So I'd like to thank you for being here and allowing us to be in your house representing the people of the Northwest Territories. Motions. Motions. Member from Hay River North.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Whereas drug abuse and addiction is a serious and ongoing problem throughout the Northwest Territories and across Canada, and whereas the number of people charged with drug offenses in the Northwest Territories has nearly doubled since 2020, and whereas the rate of police-reported drug offenses in the Northwest Territories is nearly 4 times the national average, and whereas many drug users struggle with underlying mental health issues as well as addictions, and whereas many individuals charged with and convicted of trafficking drugs within the territory face short incarceration times. Now therefore I move, seconded by the Honourable Member for Tunaday Willaday, that this Legislative Assembly strongly urges the Government of the Northwest Territories to engage with the Government of Canada, urging them to amend the Criminal Code to lengthen incarceration periods for those convicted of trafficking harmful drugs. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, member from Hay River North. To the motion, member from Hay River North.
I'm sorry, I thought this was at the end. I wanted to speak on this because it has been a big problem throughout my community there has been many cases of drug-related crime throughout Hay River North, especially with stabbings and shootings close to my home. And this has continued and will continue to be a big problem throughout all of Canada and especially the Northwest Territories if there is not stricter laws. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
From Hay River North. To the motion, member from Tunaday Willaday.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Let's see. I second this motion because there's just a bunch of problems in my community that involves drugs. Not only stabbings, attempted murder, but in in the past few months, a murder has most likely had drugs involved in it, has occurred, and that person has been released by bail, I believe. I feel like people who are importing these drugs or taking these drugs are either not getting the sentences they deserve or not getting the help they need. That's all.
From Tunaday Willaday. To the motion, member from Hay River South.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Stronger sentencing for drug users and traffickers may seem like a tough-on-crime approach, but in reality, it often fails to address the root cause of drug-related problems and instead contributes to overpowered prisons, overcrowded prisons, broken communities, and persistent cycles of drug addiction. Harsh penalties do not deter drug use or trafficking effectively, as decades of drug research have shown. Instead, they largely impact undergraded communities and low-level offenders, while leaving major traffickers and systemic issues untouched. Drug addiction is primarily a public health issue, not a criminal one. And it should be addressed through rehabilitation, education, and harm reduction strategies. Treating users with compassion rather than punishment not only improves recovery rates, but also reduces the social and economic costs associated with mass incarceration. Stronger sentencing may appear to offer quick justice, but it ultimately undermines efforts towards a more humane, effective, and sustainable approach to drug-related challenges. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, member from Hay River South. To the motion. To the motion. To the motion, member from Yellowknife North.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As hard as this issue may be to address, it's important that we do understand that this could be a good cause, because if we do have drug crises happening in the Northwest Territories, it's important that we do find a way to try and stop it. And if we are just letting people that are getting involved with selling illegal drugs, just allowing them to go back into the communities, then it may not be safe for some people, especially the youth. And I think that I do understand that it may be not the best to send them, to give them harsher sentences, but it is important to understand that if we do send them back to the communities after a crime and just let them out on bail, if they should be staying there longer, then it may not be safe for the people that are staying in the communities. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Member from Yellowknife North. To the motion, member from Tabacha.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to say that although I do understand this problem, putting people into jail and making harsher punishments won't really get rid of the people who are causing the bigger problems, the big gangs that are in to selling drugs. But I do believe that if not completely getting rid of all drugs, it could help. Well, it could bring down the amount of drugs that are given out in the Northwest Territories, because it induces fear into people. A harsher punishment for the drug dealers that are on a lower level and not in such big drug organizations, it could induce fear, which would prevent them from continuing what they're doing. And if they do end up going to jail, once they come out, I feel they would have they would reflect on what they would have done and chosen to not continue down this path of life. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, member from Tabacha. To the motion, member from Range Lake.
Speaker, along with harder sentences, I believe that enforcing harder sentences would bring more accountability and understanding to what they might have done. Catching, it might be harder to, wrong people might be in jail, but harder sentences would make them realize if they were involved in the first place more, so they would gain more accountability and understanding. And I think with the harder sentences, that enforcing rehabilitation sentences after being let out would make for a better community. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Lake. To the motion, member from Frame Lake.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I believe that this is a very deep-rooted issue across the Northwest Territories, and it requires a multifaceted solution. This is one part of that solution, and it's very important that we address the criminals who are doing this, but it's even more important in most cases that we address the root causes as well. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, member from Frame Lake. To the motion. To the motion, member from Cam Lake.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think that this motion is very important because of the lots of drug and crime rate around the smaller communities up north and just in our community in general. I feel that our drug sentences or crime sentences are not that long as they should be. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, member from Cam Lake. To the motion, member from Great Slave.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I feel like this is a very large problem that needs to be addressed. If people are selling drugs, I don't believe that they should be able to be bailed out the day after or a couple days after and then go straight back to selling. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, member from Great Slave. To the motion. To the motion. Member from Hayward North, you can conclude the debate.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To conclude this, I would like to say unless this problem is attended to immediately, this will continue to be more and more of a bigger problem. Drug trafficking. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Sorry.
Thank you, member from Hay River North. Call the question. I'm reading my notes, and it says here that you've requested a recorded vote. All those in favor, please stand. To the motion, please stand.
Member from Hay River North. Member from Inuvik Twin Lakes. Member from Nunakput. Member from Nanende. Member from Tundecho. Member from Yellowknife Center. Member from Range Lake. Member from Inuvik Boot Lake. Member from Montfouille. Member from Frame Lake. Member from Great Slave. And member from Yellowknife North. Member from Tabacha. Member from Yellowknife South. And member from Kamloops.
Okay. All those opposed, please stand.
Member from Hay River South. Member from Satu. Member from Mackenzie Delta.
Usually I'd call for abstentions, but I've been advised that you guys were very clear on you wanted for and against, so we will follow that process. $15 in favor, 3 opposed, 0 abstentions. Motion is carried. Motions. Member from Yellowknife Center.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Whereas youth throughout the Northwest Territories should be enabled to achieve the highest level of education attainable before 18 years of age, and whereas without financial support, youth may be directed to leave school before obtaining a high school diploma to seek gainful employment, and whereas employment opportunities and salaries are often higher for those who complete secondary education, providing economic benefit for the territory and its residents, and whereas youth can make informed decisions about their employment and whether or not to continue their education after they turn 18, and whereas requiring all students to remain in school until the age of 18 will allow them to be better prepared for making such choices, now therefore I move, seconded by the Honourable Member for Frame Lake, that this Legislative Assembly strongly urges the Department of Education, Culture and Employment to develop a bill requiring students to remain in school until they reach 18 years of age. And further, that the territorial government ensures the provision in the legislative initiative consider the financial position and wider impact on the community of having students remain in school until such a time that they turn 18. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, member from Yellowknife Center. To the motion. Member from Yellowknife Center.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today I stand before you to present a motion that addresses a critical issue affecting the future of our youth in the Northwest Territories. That all students should be required to stay in school until the age of 18. Education is not merely a privilege, it is a fundamental right that shapes our future and identities. In the Northwest Territories, many young people are leaving school prematurely, often due to financial pressure, a lack of engagement, or limited awareness of the opportunities that education can provide. Some of the reasons why kids should stay at school are: a higher education improves literacy and critical thinking. We are in a world where most young people are influenced by the overconsumption of social media. I feel like if we stay for a longer period at school, will be able to be more literate and have a better critical thinking. Also, going to school enhances job readiness, as most employments nowadays require a minimum of a high school diploma. Furthermore, according to Statistics Canada, a person with a diploma makes at least $20,000 more annually than someone who doesn't, hence reducing the poverty rate. Also, research from the Civic Engagement Index indicates that individuals with higher levels of education with a higher level of education are more likely to vote and engage in community activities. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Jen, if we break now, or if
Thank you, member from Milne Centre. To the motion, member from Frame Lake.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to speak about the options that going into school until 18 years of age gives students. Another 2 years from the 16 that it's already mandatory to go to school for gives so many more options to go to trade school, to universities, to colleges, to pursue different careers, no matter what the student's interest could be. Having students required to go to school until the age of 18 also grows the economy by giving more Northerners higher paying jobs with more diverse and precise skills. An interesting statistic is that NWT has the highest GDP per capita in Canada, but also the highest poverty percentage, which is an interesting mix of poverty and richness. Having a better educated population and more of the population with a high school diploma, I believe, would significantly reduce the poverty and also increase the GDP per capita to make the NWT a better place for all residents. Now, I'm sure some members will have concerns that requiring students to go to school until 18 years of age reduces their freedom and also limits options for struggling youth who need to pay for themselves or their families to survive, just to put food on the table. However, we should not be prioritizing child labor over education. That's not the way that the NWT should work. We need to prioritize education to get an educated population who will be able to make informed choices and support the NWT. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, member from Frame Lake. To the motions, member from Hay River South.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, education is vital. Enforcing a rule that all youth must stay in school until 18 fails to account for the complex and diverse realities many young people face. This policy does not consider the unique struggles of teen parents, youth without guardian support, or teens who are primary earners of their families. First of all, teen parents often face immense pressure to provide for their families and their children while balancing responsibilities far beyond their years. For many of them, the rigid structure of traditional schooling is incompatible with their daily demands. Forcing them to remain in school without offering flexible learning opportunities or support systems can add more stress and reduce their ability to care for their children affectionately. Secondly, youth with no guardian support, such as those who are estranged from their families, often lack the stability of resources needed to attend school consistently. They may be struggling just to meet basic needs such as housing and food. For these teens, mandatory schooling until 18 might be an added burden rather than a helpful solution. Finally, there are countless teenagers who are main providers for their family. They work long hours to help pay rent, buy groceries, and support their younger siblings. Imposing a requirement that they stay in school full-time until 18 could put their families at survival risk. Education should be accessible, not forced, in a way that ignores the financial and emotional burdens of these youth carry. In conclusion, while staying in school until 18 may be beneficial for many, making it mandatory across the board ignores the lived realities of these vulnerable youth. Instead of enforcing such a rule, we should prioritize flexible educational pathways, job training programs, and strong support systems to empower young people to choose what works best for their individual circumstances. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, member from Hay River South. To the motion, member from Nahende.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I don't agree with this motion. I agree with Hay River South. that kids, teenagers under the age of 18 have different responsibilities in their families. And there's other reasons why I don't agree with this motion. Oops. I think they should have the independent choice to drop out under the age of 18. Not just for fun, but to get hands-on learning and real-world experiences. My final reason why kids should be able to have that choice is for mental health reasons. To drop out and get their own personal growth and maybe go back to school after gives them that choice and that opportunity to figure themselves out before having all the pressures of school. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, member from Nahinde. To the motion, member from Great Slave.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I disagree with this motion as well because you can never know what somebody's personal situation is like. You have no idea if somebody's struggling financially outside of school or if they are their family's only means of income. Making them stay in school until they're 18 may open doors in the future, but what good is opening those doors if their family can't survive? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, member from Great Slave. Member from, to the motion, member from Elmley South.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I personally disagree with the motion. I believe that it's very important that we bring attention to the reserves throughout the Northwest Territories that do not have local schools. And the children who live in these reserves need rides to school, and the schools may be 10 to possibly even an hour outside of their town. And the punishment that could come from not being able to make it to school within the required attendance amount would cause a fine to go to the children who aren't able to make it due to the lack of resources that they have in their own towns and reserves. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Elmley South. To the motion, member from Elmley Centre.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. First of all, I would like to acknowledge the concerns of my fellow parliamentarians, but as mentioned in my motion, we asked the government there is an initiative that has to be taken, considering that not everyone has the same financial facilities. So I understand that some youth have to take care of their families or have some financial duties at home, but that is not a reason to not go to school. I don't think that's one. We shouldn't prioritize, like my seconder said, we shouldn't prioritize child labor over education. Also, I don't think dropping out of school helps you figure out what you want to do later. No. Staying at school helps you. Teachers are there to help you figure out what you would like to do in the university, what you would like to study. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, member from Elmley Centre. To the motion, member from Tabacha.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to second what the Minister of Yellowknife South has said, and I would like to take in consideration the cultural aspect of the indigenous peoples and how if they'd want to bring since they've already gone through so much like trauma and stuff in the past, like I'd like to talk about how if the kids would like to be like raised like based on their land and like cultural values, which is like a really big part of like the indigenous traditions, but if there's a law forcing them to go to school, that's like stripping away their culture once again. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Member from Tabacha. To the motion, member from Range Lake.
While schools are already enforcing the laws of staying in school till 16, most 16-year-olds already don't go to school. Students may have different situations. While I might not be pushing for the law to be changed, I'm not saying child labor should be normalized. A student having to go to work or having to be able to support and help help support their families is not a bad cause. I would push more so for the laws to change so that students can gain proper educations at a younger age. In the beginning years of life, I would push for students to get the proper education of Englishes, maths, basic knowledge. And then moving so from the transition to high schools, I would push for students to just be able to go into the careers that they already would like, and making sure that the schedules would be flexible enough. Because with the BC curriculum, and that they've recently enforced in most schools in the Northwest Territories, students are already not able to get into all the courses they might want or need for their futures. So I'm pushing for students for students to start school at a younger age and gain the proper basic knowledge of learning how to read, learning how to add, basic science, basic maths, more so. And then when they proceed to high school, that they be able to pick their courses and make sure it fits their schedule. Because while students might not be showing up to school or might not be able to go to school, they all have different situations. And the mental health balance plays a big role in going to school. Students may feel overwhelmed, stressed, depressed, have a great deal of anxiety, and forcing students to go to school until 18 years old would just be unfit. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Thank you, member from Range Lake. To the motion, member from Inuvik Twin Lake.
I oppose this motion because there's some students who really don't listen or do their work, and there's some that's basically just what I said. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Member from Inuvik Twin Lakes. To the motion, member from Frame Lake.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Now, first of all, there are many students who are struggling in the NWT, and many young adults who have to support siblings or their families and may be the sole source of income. This is a huge problem. However, the support should be there for them anyways. And dropping out of school to work a minimum wage job is not a solution. That is not the way we want to deal with single teen parents and low-income families who need somebody to provide for them. The support should be there anyways, and it's not a solution. Now, second of all, the schools provide a huge network of support for students with counselors, meals, and teachers to show them where they want to go and what they want to do with their lives, as well as providing them with numerous more options later in life. This is simply an opportunity that we cannot let our youth give up on, especially not to work a minimum wage job for the rest of their life and struggle to feed themselves or their families. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, member from Frame Lake. To the motion, member from Trinidad-Wellade.
Merci, Mr. Speaker. I don't agree with this motion as we never know the situation of the students. Even if we make it required, it would likely cause more trouble for the students who are the primary caretakers of their families and or the main breadwinners of their families. Merci, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, member from Trinidad-Wellade. To the motion. To the motion, member from Yellowknife South.
Mr. Speaker, I believe that required attendance rate until you are 18 years of age in schools is not a solution. But I do think that there are other solutions, like for teen parents having a daycare program at schools for their children, and food programs that could help support those who may not have as much food at home, and also transit for the children who have to get rides to the next town over for school. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, member from Yellowknife South. To the motion, member from Yellowknife Centre.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I understand the cultural background of the idea of the member of Yellowknife. of Yellowknife South. But I would like to say that school nowadays, when you go to school today, they don't physically nor sexually abuse you. You don't get stripped out of your culture. You don't get beat. You don't get shaved you don't get called names. They don't ask you to change because of what you're wearing. I feel like that is an irrelevant point because school nowadays is not like when it was at the period of residential schools. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, member from Yellowknife Center. To the motion, member from Cam Lake.
Speaker, I oppose this motion as many students may not have the support and may have the job to watch their little brother, sisters, or even little cousins. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, member from Cam Lake. To the motion, member from Nunatput. Oh, sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Due to financial difficulties, it will be hard to stay in school when you have to take care of people at home who may need your care and can't work. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Member from Nunatput. To the motion, member from Tabacha.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. When I had brought up the saying that they'd be stripped away from their culture, I more so was saying that forcing them to go to school while they would rather or personally stay with their culture and families on the land, doing their traditional things like hunting and whatsoever. Forcing them to go to school instead of that is like making them put school over their culture and what what they are. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
From Tabacha. To the motion, member from Frame Lake.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I believe that there is a kind of key misunderstanding among many members in this room that school is a forced attempt to take something away from students, to take away their liberty. School is an option. It's a variety of options that we can give students to support them no matter how they want. We can have cultural learning. We have classes outside. We have all sorts of classes. We have night classes for students who need different options. Making mandatory schooling until 18 only opens up more options for students who are struggling by giving them more future options and more abilities to learn and grow now. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, member from Frame Lake. To the motion, member from Nuvik Twins Lakes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I oppose this because there are many students who ignore the teachers and never do the work, so this would just be a waste of resources if they do not want to work in school at all. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Member from Nuvik Twin Lake. To the motion, member from Hay River South.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. While our indigenous cultures, we have many over the whole Northwest Territories. Again, like some of my other colleagues have already stated, people do not always have that transportation to go to school, or they do not have the supplies to go to school. Again, there are support systems to have this, but how many youth will actually stand up and say they need help? This has not changed in a long time. When is the last person you have seen ask for help? It can downgrade a student, and I do not believe they will go to their schools and say, hey, I need this help, this is what's happening, because of embarrassment, society norms, and just people in general. If you are a traditional student and you want to learn on the land, and being forced to go to school, even though these programs have the night school and programs, what if you prefer to learn more about your culture in a diverse area of where you live and how you survive with these in the past? Again, for students, that don't even need these grade 11 and 12 courses. What is the point of taking these courses if they will not benefit what they want to achieve in the future? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Member from Hay River South. To the motion, member from Nahende.
Speaker, I think by the age of 16, most students already know what they want to do and know what their goals and interests are in life. By giving them the chance to drop out under the age of 18 lets them follow what they want and not be forced to go to school until they're 18 and be miserable there. I also wanted to add on to Hay River South that she has a good point, and a lot of children in school do not want to ask for help for this and tell them what they actually want because it's embarrassing to them. And I think the school should stop pushing that, and I think kids should be able to drop out under the age 18. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, member from Nahende. To the motion, member from Range Lake.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I believe that students have the right of choice. Most 18-year-olds don't know what they want when applying to colleges in the fall. They gain a lot more flexibilities with jobs to help keep themselves stable. While they are students in school, they still have flexibility and education. Forcing a student to go to school when they cannot handle that, whether that may be mental health problems, taking care of families, and helping out with the bills. Students do not get to have a choice, and younger students do not have that flexibility. Like my colleague from Nahende said, children are allowed the choice of getting their learner's or full driver's license at the young age of 16. If students are allowed the choice to drive in the roads with other people, why wouldn't they be eligible to have the choice to go to school? And they could make out careers from their learners and their driver's licenses. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, member from Range Lake. To the motion, member from Hay River North.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I oppose this bill because there are other ways to obtain knowledge, like my colleagues have mentioned, as well as many students who have dropped out can still get an equivalent to a high school degree through a GED. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, member from Hay River North. To the motion, member from Great Slave.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would just like to say that even if schools here have programs such as night school or additional support for students who are struggling either financially or with grades in general, what makes you say that other schools, especially in the communities, have all of these resources? I believe people should be able to drop out of school at 16, especially if their family is financially unstable. Thank you.
Thank you, member from Great Slave. To the motion, member from Trinidad-Welladay.
See, Mr. Speaker, even with the opportunities from school, how will that pay the bills? I'll encourage child labor, but not supporting their family may not even be an option. See, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Thank you, member from Trinidad-Welladay. To the motion, member from Frame Lake.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to paint two different pictures. In the first one, a student who is 16 years old is working during the summer to support their child of, say, 4 years old, or 6 years old, going to elementary school. They work during the whole day, every day in the summer, and they're deciding whether they want to go back to school for grade 11 next year. Now, they could drop out of school because they're 16 years old and work full-time throughout the whole year, making minimum wage or maybe $18, $19 an hour, trying to support their child and themselves for the rest of their lives. Or they could stay in school, access free meals from schools, access counselors who can provide support and find more options to take care of their child, and access more options in the future for themselves for higher paying jobs so that they can maybe even fund college or university for their child to give them an even better future. Now, one way to make this decision clear is to enforce mandatory school all the way until 18 years of age. We could also enforce or provide other solutions to these problems. However, I think the clearest one is to make sure that all students have to stay in school until they're 18 years old. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Thank you, member from Frame Lake. To the motion, member from Yonley Center.
Well, most of the time school ends at 3:30, right? I don't understand how, when school ends at 3:30, I don't understand how it is going to hinder you from pursuing your activities. Let it be working or pursuing cultural activities. If you want to hunt, you can do that after school. If you want to learn how to do whatever your culture teaches you, I feel like you can do that after school, after 3:30. And I still think it is mandatory for students to go to school till they're 18 years of age. Also, I feel like most students, if you go in classes today, right now, and you ask them, do you know what you want to do when you're in university at 16? They don't know. So I don't feel like dropping out will help them know. I feel like staying at school and with those resources that the school provides, that will help them know what they want to do when they're in university. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, member from Yonley Center. To the motions, member from Yonley North.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. While I do think that this motion could be good, I, however, do oppose it because of the fact that if we would be making a law where it would be mandatory for students under the age of 18 to be attending school, then the government would have to be ready to be recruiting teachers and keeping them especially on reserves to ensure that students are learning the proper education that they need and deserve. And so it is not fair to force students to go to school, and especially if they're in smaller communities where they do not even have enough teachers to properly educate them. And so I believe that the government should be first working on making sure that the teachers and the schools are working on what they need to be inside of the school first before forcing it onto other children and youth to be forcing them to go to school if the school itself is not ready to be teaching the students the right things that they need for their education. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, member from Yonley North. To the motions, member from Tabacha.
I agree with Hay River South, and I would like to add on to what she said. For some who want to speak out for government aid, there are factors that stop them. One of those factors, which I would like to speak about, is an abusive household, where taking in all of that stress and trauma would be better for them than turning to ask the government for help and aid, because they don't have an as fortunate situation at home as others do. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, member from Tabacha. To the motion, member from Kamloops.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. There are many children who have gone to school and had bad experience at school, such as bullies, learning disabilities, and much more. There are many children who also have undiagnosed education disabilities, which causes a lack of confidence, and forcing them to go can mentally affect them as well. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, member from Kamloops. To the motion, member from Hay River South.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I know that you guys talked about funding for these. You wanted to create supporting programs to keep this motion if it was to be implied. Where do we expect to get that funding from to support these teens for these programs? Especially in small communities that are already struggling with fundings, they do not and might not have the resources to help these students out even if they wanted to. If students are 16 and we consider them to be young adults, why should they not have the right to choose their own life path? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, member from Hay River South. To the motion, member from Range Lake.
Addressing what my colleague Frame Lake said about that child, while that teen parent might go back to work and thinking about finishing school, no one would end up paying for those bills because they just end up piling up. With that minimum wage job, they wouldn't be able to work very long hours and be able to provide care for that child. If they were working those minimum wage hours, the child would get the young child they would have had would be neglected. Saying that child labor should be enforced would be purely unethical and unfair, but turning a blind eye to the teenage parents, providers, and everybody else who does not have all those great situations would also be a mistake. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, member from Range Lake. To the motion. To the motion to conclude the debate, member from Yellowknife Center.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Last but not least, we should also think about the effect it will have on the younger generation. The kids who completed their high school diploma can serve as role models in their communities. They can give hope to the younger ones. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Member from Yellowknife Center. The member would like to record a recorded vote. All those in favor, please stand.
Member from Yellowknife Center. Member from Nuvik-Boot Lake. Member for Frame Lake.
All those opposed, please stand.
Member for Range Lake. Member for Montfouet. Member from Great Slave. Member from Mackenzie Delta. Member from Yellowknife North. Member from Tabacha. Member from Yellowknife South. Member from Cam Lake. Member from Hay River North. Member for Hay River South. Member for Inuvik Twin Lakes. Member for Nunakput. Member for Nahende. Member for Tuned Willade. Member for Decho. Member for Satsu.
Colleagues, in favor 3, opposed 16, 0 abstentions. Motion has been defeated. Motions. Member from Yellowknife North.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Whereas medical professionals and teachers are professions in high demand throughout the Northwest Territories and have been for many years, and whereas staffing shortages and high turnover rates within these professions lead to a lack of continuity for residents receiving these critical services, especially in smaller communities, and whereas these professions often require longer post-secondary programs than is required for other fields, and whereas these fields of study often cost more than other fields, and whereas without financial supports, Northwest Territories residents wishing to enter these fields of study may be unable to complete their studies or may be financially disadvantaged compared with students in other fields. Now, therefore, I move, seconded by the Honourable Member for Montfouet, that this Legislative Assembly strongly urges the Department of Education, Culture, and Employment to increase loan limits within the Student Financial Assistance Program that would provide students studying health or teacher education to receive additional student loan money from the department. And further, that the territorial government develop this program in a manner that incentivizes these students to return to and practice within the territory, leading to improved service delivery for residents of the Northwest Territories. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, member from Yellowknife North. To the motion, member from Yellowknife North.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I am glad to move this motion because the NWT is lacking lots of health and education workers. That includes nurses, doctors, surgeons, teachers, psychiatrists, and it is a very high demanded job and it is needed in society. If we don't have enough workers that are in health and education, then the people that are working in those fields at the moment
will have to work overtime and work in fields that they do not feel comfortable with, and that includes teachers having to work in teach subjects that they are not comfortable with, which would then go on to the child and the students that are learning these from the teachers that are not fully educated and qualified for the job. It would encourage students that education is power, and that they have the right for that, and they have the choice. And if a student would like the right, if they would like to have their education, then they should be able to have that without having to worry about money or if they can pay for it or not. And specifically for medical studies, it is very expensive. That includes like books, admission, courses, tuition, all of that, and that can leave many students in student financial debt, which continuing to add on to the long duration of the studies in the medical field, that can leave many medical students in lots of financial debt before they even start working, because of how long it takes to complete to get any sort of degree to become part of the medical field. Then it would take so long that they would get so much financial debt that when they actually start working, they would have to pay off all that student debt first, and that could be a lot of stress on them before they can even work on what they want to do with their own money. For education, without teachers, there's no one to educate the youth that are in the schools. Teachers already have a very low salary, and they are very deserving because of their constant caretaking, and it can become very draining for teachers if they are not supported properly. And I truly do believe that when they are going into their studies, post-secondary, for education, that they do deserve more student loans, because they are very deserving of that, and they work very hard for the society to be going out of their way to help educate the youth and the people that are wanting to go to school, that they should be allowed to go to school if they'd like, without having to worry about their financial state. And that is especially for medical and education students, because I believe that it is very important in our society. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Member from Yellowknife North. To the motion. Member for Mophie.
I wanted to second this motion because I believe this idea is highly logical, and it's unfortunate that we hadn't thought of it earlier. Many of the points I make are a lot like Yellowknife North's points, because, Mr. Speaker, it is no secret that students who are in university for medical and educational studies are in school for a very long time. For those who do not know, medical students who finish their course fully can be in their university for 10 to 14 years. Educational studies is not much below this time. It is also well known that medical tuitions and books, and more so, are very expensive. I think it is logical that we raise the funding for these students so they can begin making money faster. A big issue in the NWT is that we have a shortage of doctors and teachers, and I believe that it will encourage future students in university who live in the NWT to go into the fields that are high in demand and work for our territory. Merci, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Member from Mophie. To the motion. Member from Nunavut.
I'm in favor for the students studying health and education because in NWT we don't have enough doctors and nurses and teachers for people in the NWT. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Member from Nunavut. To the motion. Member from Hay River South.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I strongly support the motion that the government should provide more funding for students in medical studies and education studies. These two fields are the backbone of any healthy and progressive society. Medical students become the doctors, nurses, and public health professionals who safeguard our physical well-being, while educational students shape our future by becoming the teachers who nurture and guide the next generation. However, both fields often face financial barriers that deter capable and passionate individuals from entering or completing their studies. Increased government funding would erase student debt, improve access to high-quality education, and ensure a steady, diverse supply of professionals in two of the most essential sectors. Investing in these students is ultimately an investment in our nation's health, in our nation's health, knowledge, and our future resilience. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Member from Hay River North, or South. To the motion, member from Great Slave.
Speaker, health and education are both very expensive fields, and I strongly support this motion because they're both essential services. One of them guarantees that kids will be able to learn and follow their dreams, hopefully, and the other guarantees that people have a good healthcare system. Thank you.
Thank you, member from Great Slave. To the motion, member from Nahende.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Although it may be a controversial opinion, I do not agree with this motion. I think among different students going into different professions, there should not be different student loans. There should be equality. Giving medical or education students creates an unfair hierarchy. After this, it may result in shortages in lower paid but essential jobs, such as social work, food services, jobs in trade, and much more. Even though I do agree that there is a major lack in these medical and educational services, which I see in my day-to-day life, I do not think this is a fair motion. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, member from Nahende. To the motion, member from Inuvik Twin Lake.
I support this motion because this would encourage and support those who want to be dentists or doctors, and I think this is important because some towns don't have dentists or have staff shortages in hospitals. And for those who seek dental help have to travel, and it can take longer for someone who needs help from a doctor in hospitals. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, member from Inuvik Twin Lakes. To the motion, member from the Decho.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I agree with this motion because having a sibling that is going into the medical field, I can understand how expensive it can be. Like the member of Yellowknife North said, these courses mostly require post-secondary programs and cost even more. These reasons could explain why there are shortages of doctors, nurses, teachers, and more. Giving these students more loan money could definitely give students a chance and help stop shortages. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, member from the Decho. To the motion, member from Yellowknife South.
Mr. Speaker, I believe that it would be more fair if people going into medical and educational courses were to receive more grant and loan money due to the higher need and more expensive books and educational services. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, thanks. Yeah. Thank you, member from Yellowknife South. To the motion, member from Range Lake.
Agreeing with the member from Nahende, I do not agree with this motion. While paying and forgiving student loans for doctors, nurses, teachers, surgeons might sound like a good idea, there are also other critical professions that need new people and more people in the territories. Occupations like security positions, policemen or women, lifeguards, and even coaches, small business owners, engineering people, trades, everything and any professions. There's a need for everything in the Northwest Territories, and highlighting a couple specific occupations is not, I believe, is not the way to go, because there's all other professions that also need people. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, member from Range Lake. To the motion. To the motion. I will turn to the member from Yellowknife North to conclude. What? Oh, Tuna de Willity, sorry.
See, Mr. Speaker, I strongly support this motion as without these occupations, the future generation can thrive as well. We'll fix the shortage, and in time, we would have enough of these teachers and doctors that we can lower what's it called? We can lower I forgot what's it called. What's it called? In time, we would have enough of these people to lower the money we would give them. Sorry, my bad. Merci, Mr. Speaker.
From Trinidad Willady. Oh, sorry. Member from Great Slave.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I propose that we put in place a 5-year period where we make the grant bigger, and after that, if we have more people in these fields, we can either talk to lower the amount of money for the grant back to regular or to keep it that way. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, member from Great Slave. Member from Mophie. To the motion.
Merci, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to thank people who have shown their concern about other fields of education, like social working and trade. But I do believe that we should be funding more high-demand fields because doctors are high in demand right now, and it's only logical that we encourage more future students to get into doctoring and educational studies more than trades at the moment. Merci.
Thank you, member from Mophie. To the motion, member from the Nutbutte.
Speaker, if we fund more people who want to become orthodontists, we don't have to ship people from BC for orthodontist checkups. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
From the Nutbutte. To the motion, member from Nahende.
Mr. Speaker, just because there are shortages in these jobs, giving more money won't fix everything. I believe that we need to take a look at the bigger picture of jobs that need to be, supplied in more. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, member from Nahende. To the motion, member from Yellowknife North.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Like my colleague from MLA from Monfouille said, that these jobs, both health and education, are very high demand. And I do understand the concerns that some other jobs should be, of course, getting the same student loans and that it would be fair. But we have to understand that sometimes equal and fair isn't exactly the way to go, because if we do not have enough, medical workers in, for example, the Standard Territorial Hospital, if you do not have enough workers there in the emergency room, nobody could imagine going and hurting themselves and then having to go to the emergency room and not having anyone there to help them. It is one of those jobs where you can't expect them to not be there. You expect for the nurses to be there, for the doctors to be there, for if you need to call an ambulance, for the ambulance to come and help you. And if we do not have enough people to support that, then that can become very unsafe, an unsafe society to live in. And I find it is very important to be funding those students, because many students are hesitant to go into those fields because they do not have enough money to pay for it. And so if we are funding those students more, then that would make sure that during this time where we are lacking those resources lacking those workers, that they would be working there. And I also want to add that with this motion, if we were to be funding health and education students more than other majors, then those, for example, for medical students, if they were studying abroad, then they would have to come back and help and work, whether that's during the summer or after their studies, to ensure that we are still getting workers in the territory. And same goes for education. Once they go and do their studies, they would come back once they are done for a little bit and help with, especially, and those reserves on making sure that the students that are going to school are learning what they need to learn, and that we have enough education workers and health workers to support the community. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, member from Yellowknife North. To the motion, member from Tabacha.
I agree with this motion as not only will be aiding the shortage in the Northwest Territories, but it would also be fulfilling the desires for a student wanting to pursue medical school but not having enough of funds to do so, bringing positive results to not only the territory but also the students themselves. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, member from Tabacha. To the motion, member from Yellowknife South.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to bring up the fact that a lot of educational staff and doctors are only on rotation in small communities throughout the Northwest Territories for a smaller period of time. And encouraging more people to go into these roles would be very important in ensuring that those small communities have a safer and more educationally balanced community. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Thank you, member from Yellowknife South. To the motion, member from Cam Lake.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As a student who wants to become a veterinary one day, I do not find it fair to all the other students who want to have a different workforce. We should not bribe students with bigger student loans. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, member from Cam Lake. To the motion, member from Trinidad-Willity.
Must you, Mr. Speaker, my fellow parliamentarian Great Slave made the point I was trying to. If we raise the grant money for a good period of time and look at the amount of teachers and doctors we have, we can choose to lower it if it's sufficient. Sometimes sacrifices are necessary. Must you, Mr. Speaker.
Trinidad-Willity. To the motion. To the motion, member from Yellowknife North. You can conclude the. Oh, sorry, member from Range Lake.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. While I do believe every occupation has high demand, saying one occupation is 100% more important and deserves more funding is unfair to our society. Most occupations cannot function without the other, and saying one is more important would simply just not be true. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, member from Range Lake. To the motion. To the motion to conclude the debate, member from Yellowknife North.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To conclude this debate, I would just lastly like to add the fact that I do understand that it may seem unfair to other professions and students going into different majors that are not medical or education, that it would be unfair for them to for the government to be funding medical and education students more than them. But we do have to understand that right now, at least, like my colleague MLA from Trinidad-Willity said, that sometimes we do have to make sacrifices, and right now I believe that this is a sacrifice that should be made, and it is right for it to be made, and again, if it is needed, it can be lowered at a later time, but right now it seems what should be right, and it is what the territory needs. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, member from Yellowknife North. Member has asked for a recorded vote. All those in favor, please stand.
Member for Yellowknife North. Member for Tabacha. Member for Yellowknife South. Member for Cam Lake. Member for Hay River North. Member for Hay River South. Member for Inuvik Twin Lakes. Member for Nunakput. Member for Trinidad-Willity. Member for Decho. Member for Satu. Member for Yellowknife Centre. Member for Montfouille. Member for Frame Lake. Member for Great Slave. Member for Mackenzie Delta.
Thank you. Those opposed, please stand.
Member for Nahende. Member for Range Lake. Member for Inuvik Twin Lake.
Colleagues? In favor, 16. Opposed, 3. Motion has passed. At this time, I would like to ask everybody stand up and ask if our commissioner can be brought into the House.
Please be seated. Akana Inuit, Kuinaini Kai Kafi. What a beautiful afternoon. Listening to you and your debate and so on. What I just said was good afternoon or good day to the people. Kuinaini Kai Kafi in the language of my father, the Inuvialuit. It means thank you very much for being here. So if you ever want to use your own language within our legislative assembly here, you're more than welcome to. Okay? You just never be shy. Just do whatever you do. The other one I used, you heard that earlier this afternoon, Drin Gwinzi, Shagwichin Kat. That's in the language of my mother. My mother is Vantat Kwichin from Old Crow, Yukon. So that's saying good afternoon, and also again to the people. Oh, and to listen to what you've been doing this afternoon, awesome. Thanks very much. Give yourselves a hand, please. And to those in the gallery, what an afternoon we've had. Yeah, thank you, thank you. To our speaker, Mr. Speaker Shane Thompson, our Premier Emma Wilgosh, youth parliamentarians, visitors in the gallery. As the Commissioner of the Northwest Territories, it is my distinct privilege and honor to be here today to help bring a close to your spirited deliberations. Before I close this year's Youth Parliament, let me take a moment to acknowledge and recognize all the hard work and effort in this week's Youth Parliament by our young MLAs. Someday we'll see one of you or two of you or three of you sitting in these chambers. You have considered real issues. I very much enjoyed what you were deliberating that affect Northerners, participated in debates, and learned the importance of the Legislative Assembly of the Northwest Territories in all of our lives. I hope that you have all made new friends and learned more about life in different parts of our beautiful territory. I cannot stress enough that you are the future of the Northwest Territories. And it is apparent to me that it is a bright future. On behalf of the people of the Northwest Territories, I would like to thank each of you for participating in the 2025 Youth Parliament. I offer my thanks to your teachers and parents for enabling you to have this opportunity and to experience this week some of the realities of our government. I wish each of you every success and happiness in your future lives. Maybe some of you will find that you have been bitten by the political bug, and we will see you again in this building in a few years as elected officials. I would particularly like to thank the staff of the Legislative Assembly for their hard work mentoring you this week, and the members of the 20th Legislative Assembly for their effort to make this year's Youth Parliament the great success we all hoped that it would be. Now, as the Commissioner of the Northwest Territories, I want to thank each and every one of you for a job well done. You should leave here today feeling very proud of yourselves. May the Creator bless you and your families as you return home to your communities. May your light shine bright on your chosen path as you continue with your education. Stay focused, stay strong. Keep working hard to achieve your goals and find your purpose. Kuyanakpak, in the language of my father, thank you very much. Ha'ai, in the language of my mother, the Vantat Kuchin, thank you very much. Masi, I've heard that term many times. Masi, merci beaucoup. Thank you. As quick as possible. Amazing job. I would like to give you a standing ovation myself. Great job. You guys have represented each of your riding very well. Your debate was like a debate in this house, and the motions were very relevant and made a big difference to our residents in the Northwest Territories. As the Commissioner has said, our future looks bright, and I thank you very much. So we'll see you for supper. Hopefully I make it. I have a couple other appointments I got to do, but as you notice, we do shake hands at the beginning and the end. It's at the beginning of the session, at the end, it's just to say farewell, thank you very much for your work you've done. Something that I and other speakers have done in the past, continue to do it. So thank you very much. So at this point in time, I'm going to start my little walkabout, and then we will leave our beautiful assembly. Oop, I better grab my pass so I can get back into my office. Great job. Great job. Order.